So, today I'm going to be talking about all the items inside of Pokemon Unite and why you should be using them and why you should not be using them. There's a lot of things that people don't really understand about these items, and so I'm here to try and clear this up for you. Before I get into the video, one, I don't know how to get that advert off the screen. It has continued showing up over and over. More importantly, if you like these kinds of videos, I take suggestions from viewers in my Discord server, which is going to be linked in the description below if you would like to participate and give me an idea as to what you want to be covered next. Starting off with the most important item in the game, the experience share. The experience share does not work how you actually think it would. You would think that it just gives you bonus experience when you do things. It is not how that works. The experience share shares the experience with your nearby ally that is close to you. So if you're using experience share on something like a Blissey, which is what you should be using it on, you'll be giving 100% of the experience to your ally who is nearby, and you'll get 30% of the experience yourself, meaning you're getting 30% experience out of nowhere while also giving all of it to your ally so that they can level up faster. If you're a supporter or a defender in the lane, you would much rather say your Espeon get leveled up and evolve, and so they can do more damage. All in all, the experience share is a very good item, but you should make sure you're using it in the right circumstances. Experience share should only be used to help your ally in the case of defenders or supporters. Next up, I'm going to talk about general attack and special attack items. First of all, you need to make sure that the items you are using are for your Pokemon. By that, I mean each Pokemon uses only its special attack or its physical attack. Certain items, like the Muscle Band, like the Shell Bell, like the Wise Glasses, only get affected by the special attack or attack stat individually. If, for example, you're using a Greninja and that Greninja is a physical attacker, anything such as a Wise Glasses, a Choice Specs, a Wide Lens, or any other special attacking item will be completely useless on it and will be a deadweight item in your set of 3. So you need to be extra careful and check which stat your Pokemon uses. I do understand if that gets quite confusing because, say, Dragonite uses a move like Hyper Beam, which is normally in the mainline games a special attack, but because Dragonite is a physical attacker only, it draws from its physical attack stat. You can check in the top of the screen when you're selecting the Pokemon in your games whether or not it is a physical or a special attacker. So make sure you have that cleared up in your games before you go into your game with the wrong item. The next thing that I see get mixed up all the time is how the items individually work in comparison to the mainline series. In the mainline series, Muscle Band simply just boosts your physical attack. In this game, it will do a bit more percentage-based damage from your basic attacks, that being just you holding A or holding B for only your physical attack stat. So just wanted to clear that up just to make sure you know before you go in and use it on something that barely ever uses its auto attacks. The next one that I'm also going to throw into the S tier is the Silk Spoon. The Silk Spoon makes you ignore a pretty decent percentage, that being 15% at level 20, ignoring the special defense stat of the opposing Pokemon you are attacking, meaning you're going to do a lot more damage to that Pokemon when you're holding the Silk Spoon, which is why in comparison to everything else, it will make the biggest impact to your special attacker Pokemon. And so if you're not going to run any other stat boosting items like the Wise Glasses or Choice Specs, or even like something like a Drive Lens or Specs, I would say run a Silk Spoon. Now going in order, I'm going to say the Muscle Band is probably a B tier item. Not exactly incredible, but can still be utilised by quite a lot of Pokemon. The Scope Lens will deal an extra attack's worth of damage with your physical attack. Make sure that's clear. With your physical attack, and do extra damage to a maximum of 75% of your original damage. So basically, just some more damage when you do a critical hit with an auto attack on your physical attack stat. I would say this is probably a high B tier item. It's good on certain Pokemon like Absol that are getting a lot of crits with their auto attacks, but on other Pokemon it's not so useful. The Shell Bell will heal a little bit of damage back that you do when you use a special attack. The Shell Bell will heal a bit more damage from the special attack that you use. That meaning you cannot really use Shell Bell on Pokemon like Greninja, on Pokemon like Dragonite, because they are physical attackers and this item is based in special attack. That being said, it's probably just a C tier or D tier item in my opinion. A lot of better things could be run on your special attackers, especially something like a Silk Spoon, especially something like a Wide Lens. It just has competition for that special attack, and it just doesn't really hold up to it. The Wise Glasses simply just boosts your special attack by an increase of a maximum of 7%. Basically just meaning you get higher special attack when using this item. I would say it's probably a low A tier item. Still very strong, still helps a lot. The Focus Band will heal you when you are a quarter of your health bar or lower, 3 times over 3 seconds, for a maximum of 12% of your health. Pretty solid, but when you're at that low HP range, it's not often that you'll survive for much longer. So I would say it's probably a low B tier item, below the Muscle Band in my opinion. The Energy Amplifier will boost the damage from your Unite move by a maximum of 21%, and it is also the only item that boosts the charge rate of your Unite move. And so a couple more Unite moves perhaps, and a lot more damage with those Unite moves. I'm going to throw it in the A+ tier. The Float Stone simply just increases your speed by 20% whenever you're out of combat, which is not really something you would want in this meta. It's sort of decent on some things like Greedent and Sableye that like to jungle invade, and so it's probably high D to low C. The Body Barrier is a very underrated item in my opinion, and it will give you and an ally a 25% max HP shield whenever a Unite move is used, which in my opinion is quite an underrated item because it helps you and an ally when a Unite move is used. I would say it is probably in the high A tier. A very good item for those defender and supporter lovers out there. The Score Shield will make it so you scoring cannot be interrupted until you have lost the 10% shield that it is granting you. And that, of course, is only at level 20. I would say not many Pokemon really want to run this. There's not many scenarios where you're trying to score, but someone else will stop you otherwise. And so it's not really a great item. I'd say it's probably less niche than the Float Stone. Still an item that is fine, but I'm not really going to be happy when I see someone on my team that's not perhaps a Sableye using this item. The Aeos Cookie is next, and so I'll do all 3 stacking items at once. The stacking items are also going to be thrown into the S tier. If you can get all 6 stacks off, they will do a lot more than any other stat boosting item in the game. You will get a lot more health, a lot more attack, or a lot more special attack. Remember, physical attackers use attack weight, special attackers use specs, and they'll do a lot more than say a Choice Specs could than with a special attack specs. They're very strong items at boosting your offense and your defense with your HP. And so I would like to say they are probably some of the best items that certain Pokemon can run. They're not quite top of S tier, because not all Pokemon can use it, unlike all special attackers with the Silk Spoon. The Leftovers, at level 20 or higher, grants a maximum of 4% healing per second whenever you are out of combat. The problem with this item is if you need healing, you can just return to base and get healed almost immediately afterwards. And so this item is basically completely irrelevant, and whenever I see someone running it, I know they're probably not a great player. F tier for me, because why run this item when you can just return to base and get healed straight to full? The Assault Vest has had a little bit of a comeback after its not so recent but buffs. It will give a maximum of a 20% max HP shield and will not be removed and will nullify any special attack that comes in until the shield is broken, meaning the shield can only be broken by physical attackers. But physical attackers are in almost every game, and so you have to sort of rely on the fact that there are special attackers, and so it's a pretty decent item. I'd like to say it's better than Focus Band, not quite better than Muscle Band. The Rocky Helmet was very broken for quite a while, broken in the fact that it didn't work. Now it's kind of been fixed. If you receive a hit that does more than 3% of your health bar, it will do about a maximum of 1.8% to the opposing Pokemon's hit bar, and only if that damage was dealt in a single hit. And that damage will be dealt with the physical attack stat, meaning it's not very good on special attackers. All in all, a very gimmicky item. I'm going to say it's probably better than Score Shield, not quite better than Floatstone. With the Razor Claw, for 3 seconds after using a move, the next auto attack to hit the opponent will do 50% more damage with the physical attack stat. And if held by a melee attacker, which is also listed like the physical attack, it will decrease the movement speed of the target. Overall, a pretty solid item. And so for these auto-attacking Pokemon, and for these Pokemon that obviously just auto-attack within and between their moves, very strong. I would say it's definitely stronger than Wise Glasses, definitely stronger than Buddy Barrier. With the Choice Specs, when using a damaging move, it'll deal an additional 40% damage with its special attack to the first target that is hit. Overall, I would say it's probably better than the basic Wise Glasses. If you're using a special attacking Pokemon, I would say Silk Spoon and Choice Specs are always good choices. With Weakness Policy, you'll get a small damage boost when you take damage. And so I would say it is definitely not in the C tier. Probably a bit worse than Muscle Band, a bit better than Assault Vest. Of course, these would be held by completely different Pokemon, the Assault Vest and the Weakness Policy, but I feel like Weakness Policy would come in handy in a lot more scenarios than the Assault Vest. The Rapid Fire Scarf, to put it simply, will every now and again make you attack with your auto attacks a lot faster. For the auto attacking Pokemon, I would say it's probably better than these two, but of course not quite that good because it's only good on those specific Pokemon like Duraludon, like your Greninja, Cinderace, and Dragapult. The Drain Crown is quite gimmicky. It will only do from attack-based auto attacks, so only the attack stats and only auto attacks will heal a bit of HP when using moves that directly attack the opponent's HP. I would say it's definitely better than Score Shield, probably better than Rocky Helmet, probably worse than Floatstone. It's just very gimmicky, only really good on certain builds like perhaps Dragonite Outrage, but it's very gimmicky and a very unreasonable item to be running. I'd much prefer Muscle Band. In fact, it sort of just gets outclassed by Muscle Band in a way. And so I'd probably say it's worse than Rocky Helmet. Rescue Hood increases HP recovery and shield effects to ally Pokemon. So on a supporter like Blissey, and Eldegoss, it can be quite a good item. Other than those two Pokemon, I'd say it's not great, because not many Pokemon need this item. I'd say it's probably worse than Assault Vest. Nah, I'd say it's probably better than Assault Vest, because for those two Pokemon, it is pretty great. Like, an Eldegoss should be running a Rescue Hood. But Assault Vest can be exchanged for, obviously, XP share is very important. Stacking specs can be good on Blissey, on all the healers that use special attack. And Resonant Guard, which I'll get to very shortly, is probably better at protecting your allies than the Rescue Hood. Rusted Sword can only be held by Zacian and literally doesn't do anything, and so I'm just going to disqualify it from this tier list. Now to the curse items, which are very gimmicky to pick. They're not great in Ultra and below because you can't estimate when your opponents will have a HP recovering Pokemon, because what these things do is they decrease HP recovery by a maximum of 25% when being held by a physical attacking Pokemon or a special attacking Pokemon. To any Pokemon of the enemy team, it will decrease their HP recovery. So that is Leftovers, that is Potion, that is any healer like a Blissey, a Clefable, or a Goodra. Anything that heals directly will be affected by this. And so in draft, when you know the enemy team has one of these Pokemon, it can be very good. Otherwise, it's not great. So I'm going to say it's probably A tier. Resonant Guard, when attacking the other Pokemon, it'll give you a small shield periodically, which is probably better than what Rescue Hood does. I would say it's a very good supporting item. I run it on a lot of Pokemon. I'd say it's probably better than Buddy Barrier because it is effective in more scenarios than just Unite moves. Charging Charm will charge its power through movement and auto attacks, and when it releases the power, it can release a maximum of an additional 70% damage to whatever you use. And so on Pokemon that move around a lot and use a lot of auto attacks, it can be very strong. And so I'm going to say it is probably just a bit worse than the Razor Claw, but they are sort of interchangeable. A lot more gimmicky to use Charging Charm than just throwing Razor Claw on anything. Now to the newest items added to the game, the Excel Bracer and the Wise Lens. Both of them A+ tier items in my opinion. You will get additional stacks boosting your either physical attack or special attack depending on how many kills and assists you get. And so it will snowball your power very well with your central area Pokemon and your lane carries. They are very strong items and I would definitely recommend running them on a lot of your Pokemon. Amulet Coin grants additional points from any Pokemon you defeat, which used to be very broken and caused a lot of the competitive scene to just turn into score comp metas. But after the nerf, it's a pretty decent item to run. I wouldn't say it's amazing. I'd probably say it's better than maybe Focus Band to run, but it's not as good as it once was. With the Choice Scarf, the final item, it will boost your speed after 3 stacks of just using auto attacks, and that speed boost can be up to 40%. And so it's not amazing because not many Pokemon really need a speed boost. I would say it's probably low B tier, but it can be helpful at times on certain specific Pokemon. Before I finish, I'd like to ask if you would consider subscribing. Having a high sub count helps me reach a lot more people, and the goal of this channel is to educate as many people on Pokemon Unite as possible. I have other guides on my channel if you would like to watch those. They are linked on the screen now. But other than that, I'll see you in the next video.